Hello and welcome back to the Gonzales Mitchell Show. I'm Clay Mitchell.
And I'm Patrick Gonzales.
Patrick, literally a minute or two ago, we just got done watching the vice presidential debate. If I was to describe it's sort of a picture. It would be that was Ronald Reagan sitting down with Tip O'Neill, talking about issues over some good Irish whiskey, like they used to do in the Oval Office. They There was a lot of agreement and it was civil. It wasn't smash mouth football, so to speak. What do you think?
I agree completely. While that comparison might strike some as hyperbolic, I would submit, in the context of what we have seen over the last probably 40 years, speaking of Ronald Reagan and Tip O'Neill, it's not hyped up at all. We had two adults discussing the issues in a respectful, substantive way. They both hit the points. I heard so little demagoguing that I couldn't believe I was watching an American political discussion, dialogue, or debate. I was just terribly pleased. And that applies really to both of them. And for what it's worth, yeah, I got a little sense, a little tinge of little DNC influence in the construct of the debate, but
Yeah,
that's kind of what I expected. And I thought it was overall very fairly done. So that was my take overall.
yeah. The only the one moment I thought appeared to be the moderators stepping out of their zone was when I think it was Nora O'Donnell said, "Nope, all of the immigrants in Springfield are here legally." And Vance wanted to make a rebuttal to that by saying, "No, this is a form. It's a pro forma thing. They sign it," and I think that was sort of lost. But that really was the one moment I thought was unfortunate. But overall, I agree with you. This was a very civil debate. Uh, there was a lot of times when I noticed when Vance was talking, Tim Walz was doing a lot of this, nodding in
Yeah.
agreement, which I haven't seen in a debate ever. The
And no, exactly. It was just very professionally done. The one thing I'm not sure of, after the experiences we, the American people, have gone through the last 20 or 30 years with regard to politics, are the American people ready for a polite, respectful discussion? I don't know. It might have blown everybody's mind.
I know this will make some of my friends mad, but I thought Walz, he
That's what we're
is
here
the
for.
he is the best representation for the Democratic Party, even more than Harris. I thought was he was prepared. He came across. He said his piece. He gave his positions and got into some detail where I don't think Vice President Harris uh, hasn't done that or can't do that. Walls really made the message for her campaign. Vance, I thought, was he was well prepared. He didn't seem insincere. It didn't seem like it was a rehearsed speech. He came across as a very credible, very civil, very intelligent candidate. I, that was just my feeling of the two.
I totally agree. I think there was one or two other times when the moderators kind of inserted something a little extraneous, but by and large, it was fine. And I agree with you. I thought Walls, in a way, presented the Democratic point of view. Vance presented the Republican point of view in a way. I just thought it was informative. I thought it was enlightening for those listening for any kind of substance. I just thought it was great. And honestly, after having watched for the last 3.5+ years, and this is no put down of Vice President Harris, I really don't think she is capable of expressing things in that kind of way. It's just, nothing personal, but
Right.
I thought Walz did a very good job. So
The impressions I think tonight changed. I think impressionistically they changed people's minds in this way. Vance did not appear to be weird as he was trying to be portrayed to be. He not at all. He came across as a very capable candidate. On the other side, I had the impression just watching the convention and the few times I've seen Walls on television, he came across to me, with his hands waving like Soupy Sales, the old comedian sort of, and that
right,
went away.
right,
He
right.
was he was he was not that way tonight. He was very professional and well
Not at all.
spoken. But
Yep.
I think those two myths of the weirdo and the Soupy Sales kind of guy, it, that went away tonight. Um, I, I
Yeah,
heard.
and
Go ahead.
I've just had the sense, Donald Trump, since the convention, since the primaries, since he announced 2 years ago he was running, has been Donald Trump. That is not going to change. I've had the sense with the Democrats that President Biden decided not to seek reelection, that the whole Democratic campaign led by Vice President Harris has been controlled and dominated by the spinmeisters, the shenanigan makers. In other words, the people out there like me, the political consultants. And it's full of empty words, and it's full of silly little diversions. It's full of things that are designed as clickbait, as to win the news cycle. But ultimately, in any presidential campaign, substance matters, reality matters. And I really got the sense tonight that the empty words approach, the strategy, and by empty words, Clay, I mean a campaign run where words mean nothing. They're there solely for their own point. Again, not so much to ultimately enlighten or illuminate, but to win a quick little contest, be it a clickbait contest, be it a news cycle contest. And I really think 5 weeks out, we are exactly 5 weeks out today. I think from here on out, the campaign has been elevated to a level of seriousness that a presidential campaign in these United States deserves. And I think we're going to head for the remaining 5 weeks in that direction. I'm very grateful for that.
I think the two issues, I don't think minds were changed tonight, other than
No,
the
I don't either.
personas, the personas, I think, like I said before, the Soupy Sales and the weirdo, that's gone away. I it's my impression, just looking, trying to be as bipartisan as I can or nonpartisan as I can. On immigration and the economy, I think it was advantage Vance. I think his message came across stronger than Walls. On the abortion issue, that was all Walls. Uh, Vance tried to talk around the issue, talk to the issue, and defend the overturning of Roe v. Wade. Yeah, yeah, it's no secret. Most Americans believe that Roe v. Wade should be the law of the land. A lot of my friends are going to be mad at me for saying that, but that's where I think most people are, and that was not a winning argument uh, for Senator Vance.
I agree, but on the other hand, I thought he handled the issue about as well, given the sort of ingrained already perception of Republicans on the issue of abortion. And once again, I'm going to reiterate something I've said before. You will not meet a human being on this earth that is more pro-choice than I am. That's for another podcast. But I thought he tried to kind of put forth at least a perspective or a thought that was maybe ameliorated, lessened, diminished to some extent the fear that many people have, many women have, that the Republican Party is trying to control them. And whether it was successful or not, I don't know. But on the issue of abortion, at least for the remaining 5 weeks, if that's what this election turns on, that's not a Republican issue. But if this election turns on things like immigration, like the economy, I agree with you. I thought Walz came out. Excuse me. I thought Vance came out ahead tonight, presenting those issues.
The debate tonight also, I don't want to be Pollyannish, but gave me a flicker of hope that there could be some bipartisanship down the road if Congress acts the way these two did. Although when it came to like the Family Leave Act, there were some differences. I think there was enough common ground there for them to work something out. And there were a few other moments where I thought, they said, "Well, I agree with Tim on this," or "I agree with Senator Vance on this." I don't think they were too far apart on certain things, and it does go to show, I mean, we're not going to agree on anything. Sometimes they're 100,000 miles apart, but there were some issues where I think Congress and whoever the president is can work out some bipartisan legislation for the good of the country. Maybe I'm being Pollyannish. Patrick, tell me if I am, but it just sort of gave me that
Well,
little flicker of hope.
first of all, you have never been Pollyannish. On the other hand, I have been, and I'm going to be Pollyannish as we speak. It not only
Okay.
gave me a flicker of hope, it gave me great hope. We sort of saw tonight what can be when
Yeah.
two political opponents engage. It can be done. Oh my Lord. Yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus. And no, I'm very pleased and enthused about tonight because I think there is the possibility to set the stage for the remaining 5 weeks. So I'm just am I giddy like I was back in '67, strumming with Jimmy up on stage at Monterey? No. Am I feeling as jamming and as good as I did when I was on stage with Janice in Woodstock back in August of '69? No. But back then we were singing about me and Bobby McGee. And, so nothing is ever going to create within me the vibe that did. But I'll tell you
Chris,
something, brother.
Chris
Tonight,
Christopherson song, by the way.
I was flashing back
Yeah.
yesterday to Chris. A Star Is Born back in '76. Semi Tough. Remember the football movie he
Yes.
did with Burt Reynolds back in
Yes. Yes.
'77. The Western he did with Willie Nelson. I can't remember the name.
Yeah.
And I think it was Willie and Waylon. Willie Whalen and Chris. Remember Willie and Whalen, Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain, or whatever that was? I mean, those
Yeah,
were the
there
good
was
old
the
days.
highwayman with
The
Johnny
Highwayman,
Cash.
yes.
Yeah.
Johnny Cash, yes.
Right.
I
Right.
walk the line.
Yeah. Yeah. So
So, yeah.
nobody, and you've been around politics as long as I have, nobody votes for vice president. They vote for the top of the ticket. We have this moment tonight where there's appeared to be civil debate. Tomorrow morning, Patrick, 8 o'clock in the morning, what's going to happen?
Well, and I agree. Nobody votes for vice president. However, for those kind of wanting to vote for former President Trump, but just can't bring themselves to it, I think this is a case where JD Vance laid out something for people to almost sort of a bailout area. Okay, that Donald Trump, he really gets on my nerves and causes me to have a harsh psychological reaction. But you know what? I might be able to just because of JD Vance, I might be able to pull that lever.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, for those that are really inclined and want to vote for Vice President Harris, but just can't quite convince themselves that that's the thing to do. I think Governor Tim Walz offered something tonight that gives that group a little bit of an option, a little bit of a bailout area. So I think, I don't want to overstate it. I go back when I think of vice presidential debates. The one that really sticks out for me, and it was soon after I got into the biz, was when Lloyd Benson said, Senator Quayle, I knew John F. Kennedy. I worked with John F. Kennedy. John F. Kennedy was a friend of mine. Senator, you are no John F. Kennedy. Well, who is John F. Kennedy? I mean, in my younger days, I was kind of like him. Before I got married and stuff, all the babes really liked me like they did Kennedy. I mean, I never dated Marilyn Monroe, but that's only because she was 5 when I died. But had she lived another couple of years, there's no doubt she and I would have hooked up.
Yeah,
but seriously, I think this debate, I think it's a little bit different. I'm very pleased with tonight, Mr. Mitchell.
And I hope this is the template for the future, that debates are conducted and held this way. I don't need to say any more than that. I think that was really a debate that people needed to see. Calmed a lot of nerves
I totally
down.
agree.
Yeah.
I think so. I agree. I totally think so. I mean, you got people out there saying Donald Trump's a threat to democracy. You have people out there saying Vice President Harris is a threat to democracy. Well, if that's what people see, and that's what I don't believe either one. Nobody is a threat to democracy. No one human being is a threat. Why? Because this is democracy, Clay. 2 candidates offer differing opinions, and we, the people, get to look at it and decide. So give me a break. But for those that want to kind of live up at that level, that whatever, I think both vice presidential nominees offered some hope for their side. So,
well, Patrick, it was a pleasure to watch the debate and discuss it with you. It's getting to be the midnight hour here soon, so I think it's time for me to say
it's the bewitching hour. Yes,
it is the bewitching hour. It's time to say goodbye, Patrick.
Goodbye, Patrick, and goodbye, Clay. And we've got, I think, a couple minutes before I turn back into a pumpkin, or my carriage turns into a pumpkin. So I wanted to, again, express my gratitude for you being my friend and us doing this show. And I just so look forward to what we're going to do in the future.
We got some groovy guests coming up, my friend. I'm not going to tell anybody who they are now, but it's going to be a groovy show, baby.
Ooh, this is going to be a really groovy party.
Good night, Patrick.
Good night, Patrick.